I'd like to call the Water Board meeting to order for Wednesday, July 13th. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Mr. Troxel, roll call, please.
Yes, Mr. President. Councilman Rob Getzloff.
Present.
Councilwoman Robin Arvanitis.
Here.
Councilman Kevin Conley.
Present.
Councilman Caleb Johnson.
Present.
Councilman Thomas Schmidt.
Here.
Attorney David Austin.
Present.
Fire Chief Robert Patterson.
Here.
Deputy Fire Chief David Meyer. Not here. Police Chief Pete Sormas.
Here.
Deputy Police Chief Steve McNamara. Here. Park Superintendent John Novosich. Here. IT Robbie Hansen. Here. Nice Engineering Neil Simstad. Here. Director of Operations Jim Gorman. Here. Town Manager Robert Volkman.
Here.
Recording Secretary Robin Teal. Clerk Treasurer Michael Troxel here.
Okay, thank you. The Water Board consists of 3 members, myself, Councilwoman Robin, and Councilman Kevin. So we will take Councilman Caleb and Councilman Tom Schmidt out of the roll call for this meeting. Minutes of the June 8th, 2022 public meeting. Pleasure of the board.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 3-0. Any additional claims, Mr. Troxel?
No additional claims, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you.
Move to
Pleasure of the
approve
board.
claims.
We have a motion,
Second.
second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries 3-0. Any reports from staff? Jim?
No reports.
Okay. Council members, any reports? No? Okay. There is no old business and there is no new business, so I'll take any business from the floor regarding waterworks. Any business from the floor regarding waterworks? Any business from the floor regarding waterworks? Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned. We'll move right into redevelopment.
Call to order the Redevelopment Commission meeting for Wednesday, July 13th, 2022. The time is 7:08 p.m. We'll bring in Councilman Johnson and Councilman Schmidt back into the fold for the Redevelopment Commission meeting. Minutes of the June 8th, 2022 public meeting.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye opposed. Passes 5-0. Claims, any additional claims, Mr. Troxel?
No additional claims, Mr. President.
You?
So move on claims.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed. Any reports from staff?
No reports.
Council members, any reports?
No report.
No report.
Thank you. No old business, no new business. Any business from the floor regarding redevelopment? Any business from the floor? Any business from the floor? Hearing none, this meeting's adjourned.
Good evening. I'd like to call the Utility Board meeting from the Town of Scherville for Wednesday, July 13th at approximately 7:10. The roll call stays the same as the Redevelopment Board. First item on the agenda is the minutes from the June 8th, 2022 meeting.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries 5-0. Next item's claims. Any additional claims, Mr. Troxel?
No additional claims, Mr. President.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Reports. Any reports from staff? Mr. Volkman?
No reports.
Mr. Gorman?
No reports.
And our town engineer. Good evening. How are you tonight? Good. No reports? No reports. Council members?
No report.
No report.
Okay, we move on. We have no old business. We move right into new business. First item's item A, Resolution 2022-12 is a resolution to transfer funds with the category of appropriations. Mr. Troxel.
Yes, Mr. President, as the title reads, this is a transfer of funds in the Waterworks O&M Fund. This is a through 6 months. This is what our transfer is. We're looked ahead, and this is the only transfer we should be doing for the rest of the year in this particular fund.
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Troxel.
Yes, sir.
At this time, we'll open up to the floor. Any business from the floor regarding utilities? Any business from the floor regarding utilities? No business from the floor. This meeting's adjourned. We'll move right into the town council meeting.
I'd like to call to order the Town Council meeting for Wednesday, July 13th, 2022, at 7:11 PM. The roll call remains the same as the previous meeting of the Utility Board. First on the agenda are minutes of the June 8th, 2022 public meeting.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Next on the agenda is claims. Mr. Troxel, are there any additional claims?
No additional claims, Madam President.
So moved?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Claims carries 5-0. Next, we move to reports. Starting on my left, Chief Patterson.
Yes, thank you. I would like to report for the month of June, the fire department responded to 305 EMS-related calls, 75 fire-related, for a total of 375 calls for the month of June. And that's all I got.
Thank you. Police Chief Pete Sormaz.
Thank you. I'd just like to announce next month, August, the first Tuesday in August, August 2nd, we have our annual National Night Out. I'd like to welcome everybody. The hours are from 4 to 8 p.m. right here at Reeder Park, and that's a national night out for law enforcement and communities to come out to meet their law enforcement officers. So
Thank you.
if you're available, please come on out.
Thank you. Deputy Chief McNamara.
No reports.
Thank you. Park Superintendent John Novosich.
Thank you, Madam President. We also have a lot of events still coming up. We have the Hocus Pocus Party in the Park, July 23rd. We're still looking for donations for candy. We have the helicopter that comes out and drops candy. Symphony's the day after, Northwest Indiana Symphony at Reeder. Corn Roast is also going to be at Reeder Park Friday the 30th. And we have the craft fair at the community center the 31st. And, of course, the night out. So it's a busy stretch, and we had a great couple of events with the fest and the fireworks, so thanks to all the departments, police, fire, public works, for all the support, and of course park staff too, and you as a council, because it was really a good team effort to see those events come off and run really well. So thanks to everyone.
Thank you. Moving to my right, Mr. Simstad from Nice Engineering.
Yes, we have the 2022-1 CCMG grant that is out to bid, and we will be opening those bids on Monday, August 8th, and ready for award at your meeting on August 10th. And I believe that includes 42 or 43 segments, and short of 3 which will be completed in 2022, the rest will be completed next year. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gorman, Director of Operations.
No reports.
Thank you. Mr. Volkman.
Yes, I have, one thing I'd like to add, Madam Chairman. We've been working with the Legion on Burr Street to buy a piece of property from them for right-of-way for Burr Street improvements in the future. They actually came in this afternoon. Wasn't able to get it on the agenda, but I would look for the council to authorize acceptance of the documents, the easement documents for Burr Street, and authorize you to sign those documents and payment to the Legion for the amount. You remember what the amount is, Jim?
Madam President, I'll make a motion to approve the recommendation by our town manager to move forward with the acceptance of those documents, allow the town president to, town council president to sign those documents and execute the payment for the easement.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any reports from council members?
I have one, Madam President. On May 30th, Larry Tucker passed away. He was our town's appointment to the Lake County Convention and Visitors Bureau. The town council scheduled a special meeting to appoint a successor to the board, and that was scheduled for June 21st. It's my understanding that we were assured by at least two sources that we had additional time to make the appointment at our next regular meeting, which would be this meeting today. I was personally assured by Andy Quinnell, who is president of the board, that the deadline would not be enforced against us and allow us to make this appointment today. I also communicated that information to various folks, including Mr. Connolly, Mr. Schmidt, Mr. Volkman. I was under the impression that Mr. Uran, David Uran, director of the Visitors Bureau, had also assured others on the council of the same extension of time that we could take our action at this public meeting here today. I believe Mr. Volkman informed me when we talked on the phone that the special meeting scheduled for June 21st was being canceled because we were in no hurry, that we had the time to make that appointment at the regular meeting in July today. For some strange reason, despite these assurances that we had that extension of time, a decision was made unilaterally on June 29th by our town council president, Robin Arvanitis, to appoint a replacement for Larry Tucker to the Lake County Convention and Visitors Bureau. I've only been on the council for 2 years, but I know that when that appointment was up for renewal last year in 2021, we discussed that appointment as a whole, as a council, and we reached out to a few folks. We talked about the possibility of replacing Larry Tucker with other individuals. It was decided as a council, as a whole, not to replace Mr. Tucker, that we were going to keep Mr. Tucker on the Lake County Convention and Visitors Bureau. That was a vote that was made as a council, not as a president. This decision by our council president to make an appointment unilaterally on June 29th instead of waiting until today is uncalled for, and it's political gamesmanship and backhanded. I don't approve of it. I want to talk about our appointment as well, Mr. Buscemi, who was appointed on June 29th by Ms. Arvanitis. He's not qualified. There are certain criteria in the statute, Indiana Code 6-9-2-3, which states in relevant part that in making appointments under this section, the appointing authority shall give sole consideration to the individuals who are knowledgeable about, employed as executives, or managers in at least one of the following businesses in the county: hotels, motels, restaurants, travel, transportation, conventions, trade shows, riverboats, banking, real estate, and construction. Mr. Buscemi, while a very nice gentleman, a local attorney here in Schererville, I think his office is in Maryville. He's a prominent Democrat politician in his own right, but he's not involved in any of those businesses or industries, to my knowledge. And I, for one, want someone and feel we deserve someone who does have experience, knowledge, and possibly works in those industries, and to represent us on this board. I'm opposed to this appointment, and I think we should, as a council, replace Mr. Buscemi on the Lake County Convention and Visitors Bureau with someone who is qualified, and I had proposed someone to be that appointment, partisan aside, I think he's much more qualified and should have been considered for this appointment.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson, I think it's important for everyone to know that this position is not a paid position. It is an appointed position. We were replacing Mr. Tucker, who unfortunately had passed away. His seat was open. It is stated that we have 30 days to make the appointment. While the meeting was canceled, not The meeting was canceled because someone was ill, so we did have a meeting set. You're saying that the meeting was canceled because we had more time. You received information that we had more time. Verbal information that we have more time is not good enough, because if we did not make the appointment according to the code, they could appoint someone for us. So I'm not comfortable with our town appointment being appointed by somebody else. Also, I have the authority as the executive of the council to make the appointment. I made sure that I spoke to our attorney. I made sure that Mr. Buscemi was qualified. I made sure that I was able to make this appointment. I received counsel from our town attorney, and he said, you need to make this appointment today before the 30 days is over, because no one is above the law saying you can wait more than 30 days. So I didn't want that to happen. I reached out to everyone via email and made sure that you knew that's what I was going to do, and I respectfully asked for your support on that. This is where we're at. You have seen me 3 times since then. You have not brought this up. You waited to bring it up into a public forum on purpose.
Oh, I
So
responded immediately
The public doesn't need to hear this.
to your email
What are
with
you
an email
proposing? Are you-
expressing that I was going to raise this at the public meeting.
Yeah.
You were not shocked.
You said be ready. Now, Mr.
not
Johnson, are you
shocked.
proposing someone else? That he has already been accepted by the Visitors Bureau. If they were not to accept him because he wasn't qualified, I have 30 more days to appoint someone else as the executive of this board. So I could appoint someone else if he wasn't. He has already been sworn in. He has already taken his oath, so he is already serving in this position
I
for the next
recognize
2
that.
years.
I recognize that.
the action
why
has
was
been
the
taken.
meeting canceled if we were under a deadline?
The meeting was canceled because someone was ill, and we
We could have met
apparently.
with 4 votes.
You said you told everyone about the deadline. Did you reach out to me, Caleb? Did you reach out to me about the deadline? You reached out to Mr. Volkman, to Mr. Conley, and to Mr. Schmidt. To me, Caleb, enough. The action has been taken. It's already done. He is already in the position. If you're asking for something else, we would have to ask the attorney what we do from here. You want him removed?
I think he should be removed if he's not qualified.
Where do we go from here?
You solicit a motion, you can put it on the floor.
Ma-
To take a vote?
If you accept the motion.
Use your microphone, David. Can't hear you.
You have the authority to determine whether you will accept the motion or not, an action on the floor. If you do, that's fine. You don't have to, under the current state of the law.
Okay. The action has already been taken. We don't need to do anything else. When you asked for this to be put on the agenda, you didn't even respect me enough to ask me. You asked Mr. Volkman. So I think this situation is ridiculous. What you did today was very unprofessional. What I did was what I followed, what was on the IC code and what my attorney advised us to do.
We have made this appointment collectively as a council for years, yet we chose not to do it at the last meeting out of respect for Mr. Tucker and his passing. We then scheduled a special meeting, which was canceled without input by me, without input by anybody. Apparently, I don't know who canceled this meeting. And when I talked to Mr. Volkman, part of that discussion was that we had the extension of time.
We did not have the extension of time.
Whether that was expressed to you or not, I don't know. I wasn't involved
didn't
in your
have the extension of
conversations with
time.
Mr. Volkman. My point is that I believe this was a backhanded political decision to usurp the ability of this council to discuss who is the appropriate appointment to the Lake County Convention and Visitors Bureau so that you could appoint somebody that you like.
So you would like to put to a vote today? You would like Mr.
That's what I would like to do. Yeah, I'd like to know what his qualifications are, and if somebody else is better qualified, then let's talk about that and appoint somebody who is qualified for this position.
What action are you asking for
what-
today? Mr. Schmidt?
Madam President, first of all, your appointment has already been sworn in at the convention board, so that.
Which is what I said.
So that part of it's over with. Second of all, I thought you did your research very well.
Thank you.
In finding out that the gentleman that you wanted to appoint was qualified. He met a couple of the outline items that Mr. Johnson spoke here about being involved in real estate and owning real estate property himself and owning commercial property himself. So the gentleman's very well qualified. And you seeked out the information from the board to find out if he was qualified, along with seeking out the information from our town attorney. So I would have to agree with Councilwoman Arvanitis that the subject is over, and our appointment, your appointment is there, and it's fine. The meeting was canceled, from what I understand. One of our members was ill, plus we were wanting to do more research on the capability of the appointment. So I believe that's why it was canceled. I really don't think that it's an issue anymore.
So owning real estate makes you qualified. So I'm qualified to be a Convention and Visitors Bureau representative because I own a house.
No, it says in here, Mr. Johnson, that the appointment requires that the individual who is appointed be knowledgeable about. Now, you're talking about a 35, 40-year attorney that's been a real estate attorney his whole career. So, I mean, the gentleman is very well qualified on real estate, plus he owns real estate, plus he owns commercial real estate. So, right there, that meets the one category, and there's probably a couple other there that he meets. So,
Plus, he was accepted by the board, so obviously he was qualified.
I'm fine with your appointment.
My
I
final
think it
thing
should
that I
have
have
been
to say in
discussed.
regards to this is the way that we are assuming that just a phone call or a handshake is the way that we do things. That's not the way. We followed the law. We followed the 30 days. So what I did was not backhanded. What we were trying to do is just saying, take your time. Do what you want. That's backhanded. No one is above following that. Are you saying that we are? We don't have to follow the code?
I'm not saying we don't have to
Okay,
follow the
then
code,
the
but
appointment
we
is
were
valid and the action's been
assured,
taken.
And if a verbal assurance wasn't sufficient, then we should have
No.
asked for something more.
It's not sufficient, and it's offensive that you also don't take the advice of our town attorney.
He
Obviously,
didn't
I
give
sought
me
him
any
out.
advice, so I
He
didn't
gave me
take his
advice,
advice.
Caleb. And I told you all I sought him out.
Did our town attorney tell you that this person was qualified for this
Yes.
position?
Yes, he did,
In my paperwork,
Caleb.
he did. Mr.
Because
Getzlaff
I
is
have to
correct.
tell you, I called Mr. Austin when the thing came out saying about appointing John to this position. The first thing I did was got it on the phone. I called Mr. Austin, and I asked him 2 questions about, the president having that right. Through the years, yes, have we talked about it and made appointments? We have. We talked about it. In this case, because of time constraints and verbal stuff going on, it was felt that, she had the right to make that appointment when she decided who she was appointing. I did call Dave Austin, and I spoke to Dave Austin on both topics. Did I not, Mr. Austin?
You did.
And can you please tell for the record why John is qualified to do the job?
He's a well-recognized and experienced attorney practicing real estate law in this county his
I
entire
can't hear you,
career. Sorry, Bob.
I'll just say, I understand the legalities, and you've got, that authority to make that appointment. A couple things crossed my mind. In all my years on the council, there have been appointments where the council president has had that authority, but the president never acted, because we always made that decision as a council. In terms of Mr. Buscemi's, qualifications, I didn't see anything documented, showing his qualifications prior to your email saying that you had to make the appointment because of the deadline. And getting back to that special meeting, we've had council meetings where we've had, council member absent sometimes too, but we've had a quorum. So this is, the first time I've experienced something like this, and I understand the legalities. I do.
Thank you.
But I don't agree with how it was handled. Okay, I guess semantics, you can argue that it was verbal, that we had extra time, it wasn't in writing. But I would have appreciated having that special meeting, which was for that appointment. So I don't agree with how this was done. I understand the legality, and you have that authority, but I'm not in favor of how it was done.
I understand. And if someone else had taken that authority and made that, I would understand. I would respect their position as the president, and I'm asking you to respect my position. Is there any other discussion regarding this? I'm not
Not
sure
at this
this
time.
fell under reports. Are there any other reports for any council members?
No
All right.
reports.
Not at this time.
Thank you.
No reports?
Moving on to public comments regarding agenda items. If you could please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Do we have any public comments regarding agenda items? No? Then we will move on to old business. There is no old business. Pardon me? No, that was something special.
But we could talk afterwards if you like.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
And at the end,
Thank you,
public comment will be at the end,
At the end of the meeting.
at the end of the meeting.
thank you. New business. Moving on to item A, Resolution 2022-10, a resolution establishing an investment policy and procedures for the town of Schererville, Lake County, Indiana, on all matters related thereto. Mr. Volkman? Mr.
Madam
Tuck?
President?
Thank
Yes,
you.
I'll handle this one.
Thank you.
Yeah, this, as you read, it's a resolution establishing investment policy. We currently have an investment policy. In my review, it expired and we needed to renew it. In my process of renewing it, I looked at our current investment policy and kind of strengthened it a little bit, where the purpose is to establish an investment committee, provide investment objectives and guidelines for the management of public funds to safeguard funds on behalf of the town of Schererville, Indiana, to assume the availability of funds when needed, and at all times invest according to and consistent with state law as amended. So I sent you all a copy of this investment policy. It's a little more robust than we had before. So basically, it's allowing us to renew our investment policy we have. It will expire after 4 years, which we will renew it at that time again and make any changes at that time. But anyway, all of the items that are in the investment policy are covered under Indiana Code. Like I said, we're going to form a committee, and that committee then will meet quarterly to give advice to me on where the investment should be and timing of everything, and when they should come due. So we should see greater gains in our investment portfolio. Interest rates have gone up, and with Indiana Code allowing us to do into other financial tools to use will help overall our growth in our investments.
Thank you.
Madam President?
Yes.
The work that Mike and his team do, as well as your predecessor clerk treasurers, having established or worked within the parameters of established investment policies, has paid off and does pay off when this town is financing capital projects, when you are raising capital funds for infrastructure or the circumstances that exist for which you need money. And it is the barometer by which financial advisors monitor and aid this town in raising money, if you will. Goes into the reports and the Standard & Poor's ratings and the like, and is very beneficial. It's incredibly beneficial, actually. It's been that way here for a long time.
Thank you.
Madam President,
Yes.
I move to approve Resolution 2022-10.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Item B, Resolution 2022-11, a resolution to transfer funds within a category of appropriations.
Madam President, again?
Yes.
Yeah, this is an annual item this time this year for 6 months to clean up some of our transfer needs and a lot of our funds that we've done for the first 6 months, and to anticipate what transfers we may have in the future 6 months to the end of the year. It affects every fund category. In each of these fund categories, there are enough funds in these, but just different line items. So in my review of this recently, I noticed that there could be some better housekeeping on our end to keep these from happening at this time every year. We had a similar thing last year at this time. It's the same thing this year. There are funds in all of these categories. It's just moving them, it's the right line item. Moving it to 2023, we'll have less of these because we will be addressing things differently in our housekeeping for that. So I wanted to explain that.
Thank you.
Madam President, I move to approve Resolution 2022-11.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Item C, consider acceptance of memorandum of understanding and agreement between the Town of Schererville and the Association of the Indiana Counties Tax Refund Exchange and Compliance System.
Madam President, again.
Mr. Troxel?
Yes. Yeah, this program has been around since the legislature passed it in 2017, which allows local governments to collect old bad debts. And what it allows then is those that are identified that these debts are still owed, that it can be offset by any of their Indiana Department of Revenue tax refund. So in cleaning up some of our old bad debt that we have in our utility bills, we've identified quite a few old accounts where somebody may have been a renter or left or sold their property. They had a final bill that they never paid. So that's what a lot of it is. So this will allow us to contact those that actually owe us the money through this company, and if they do not pay and they have an Indiana Department of Revenue tax refund due to them, that money will be withheld. We would receive 100% of what's owed, and there's no cost to us for this program. And it's run through the Indiana Associations of Counties that put this program together. So we're using their format, and this memo of understanding basically allows us to move forward with their program on this. So it's kind of a housekeeping thing. Once we've identified and collected what we can, we won't collect it all. Once we do that, then I'll be coming before the board here asking to wipe off some of these old bad debts to clean up our accounts. So that's kind of what it is. And this memo allows the Madam President to sign off on it, on that understanding. Anything I missed, Mr. Austin?
No,
Thank you.
I've reviewed the law, and the law is fulfilled by the proposal before you. It's kind of like the unclaimed property section of the Indiana Secretary of State, and it's clearly an accounting method of cleaning up the books and potentially recovering some funds.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Item D, consider variance of use to allow a drive-through lane within the US 41 Commercial Corridor Overlay District. Board of Zoning Case 22-6-12, the petitioner, Kenneth Drenth, location 7707 US 41, a BZA favorable recommendation of 4-0.
Thank you, Madam President. Yeah, this is a new development going in on US 41, just south of 77th Avenue on the east side. The petitioner applied for a variance to the BZA, came back with that 4-0 favorable recommendation. For a drive-through, the tenant for that drive-through will be Boss Man Taco, and the petitioner is here tonight if anybody has questions for him. Thank you.
Madam President, I do have some questions, if it's allowed. Mr. Drenth, thank you for coming here today. Do you have the microphone? Oh, you do.
I do, yeah.
I saw there was a empty holder there. So I just had a couple of questions in regard to the plans that were proposed. I saw a couple of things. Do you have them in front of you, or you know them well enough to
I've got it
try
right
and
in front
image
of
it?
me. Sure.
Yeah, okay. So some of the folks in the audience are going to be completely confused by this because we're not showing it, but along US 41, is there a plan for a turn lane to enter into the development?
No, there isn't.
And then along US 41, is there a plan for a sidewalk?
Yes.
There is a sidewalk? I couldn't tell if it's sidewalk or what's drawn there.
There's one along
I see
Jenny
one on
Lane.
Jenny, I think,
There is one on Jenny Lane.
but is there one along US 41 there?
I do not believe so.
Okay. There's two buildings, correct? proposed?
Yes.
How many tenants are in the south building proposed? Or how many
Proposed
units do you have?
3 to 4 units.
3 to 4
depending-
units?
Yes,
And then the north building is set up to have how many units in that?
4.
4 units. And the drive-through that you're asking for the variance for is on that north side of the north building, correct?
Correct.
And the drive-through will enter from the back and then exit out the front, so the west side of the building will be the exit of the drive-through.
Correct.
Just to the north of the drive-through, it looks like there's a 2-lane driveway, I guess, that doesn't go anywhere. Do you see that? It goes back to the dumpster, and it goes back to what I assume is some sort of a barrier wall or something to divide the storage buildings from this development.
Well, there's no wall. There's a fence along that property line between the
fence.
storage and then there's parking along that north property line.
Right. My concern is that people that are heading eastbound on that driveway are not going to have anywhere to go other than turn around in those parking spots or back out. Do you see what I mean?
Yes.
So I'm concerned about the two-way traffic there.
Okay.
I'm afraid people are going to get caught back there and have to back out if all those spots are full and there's traffic in the drive-through in that lane, then they're going to be stuck. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, because the showing the traffic behind the building as both lanes are northbound. The
They're
traffic
both
flow is
northbound,
there.
right?
Correct.
They can't head south if they get back there.
Correct.
All right. Those are all my questions for you, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
No other questions?
Anyone else questions?
Madam President,
Yes.
Mr. Gorman, the variance that he was allowed at this point is just for the one drive-through?
That is correct.
In the northern development?
Correct.
And then when he gets ready to do the south development, he'll have to come back in?
If he has a tenant that wants a drive-through, he would come back in for a variance,
And,
which he may not, or he may not. I can't speculate.
what we're ruling on is strictly on the variance to have a drive-through?
Correct.
And then will he now have to go to, has it already been approved at the planning stage?
It has, it's gotten primary and secondary on this development.
Thank you.
Question, Caleb, you had mentioned that the northbound lane, can anything be done to reconfigure that? I guess that's a question for Mr. Drenth.
Well, this is the way the engineers set it up. I mean, I suppose we could have a discussion about that.
Okay.
Which northbound lane are you talking about?
You had mentioned the concern about cars having to turn around.
Oh, the one-way.
The one-way.
Travel, yeah. I guess the easy solution is just to make it all westbound on that driveway, and then everybody who wants to park in that spot has to come north and go west. Does that seem like an easy solution?
That would be, yeah, that could be done.
Okay.
Because otherwise, you're going to have traffic going southbound on the right-hand side, because your drive-through's on the left-hand side, and that doesn't seem safe.
Okay.
Did this come up during the primary and secondary approval?
No, not at
No.
all.
No, I think that area is basically it's a parking lane. I know they've got
Use your mic.
Sorry. They have it demarked with arrows on the plan, but I don't know that there'd be any markings there to start with. So that's a parking aisle.
Yeah, there's 7 parking spaces along there
Yeah.
for people. My assumption, anybody going in there is going to park. I could see where they might get there and,
Find out there's
Turn
no
around.
parking spaces
Right.
and have to turn around
Right.
somehow.
yeah.
And they
there-
can't.
I mean, there is room for them to turn around.
Any other questions?
That was my only question. If that could be addressed, then I don't have an issue.
Pardon?
If that can be addressed somehow, then I don't have an issue.
Okay.
Do we have a motion?
Madam President,
Yes.
I would make a motion to approve the variance of use to allow a drive-through within the US 41 Commercial Corridor Overlay District. Board of Zoning Appeals Case 22-6-12, petitioner Kenneth Drenth, location 7707 US 41, BZA favorable recommendation 4.0. And I'm going to add the following conditions, if possible, to this motion. Number one, that this variance is only for the north building, which I assume the south building has a separate address, so that shouldn't be a concern, but this is only for the north building as proposed. That's number one. Number two, that the eastbound traffic just north of the drive-through be only westbound, so that nobody's driving in there and getting caught. Number three, I'm going to ask that a sidewalk be added to the west side of your development along US 41, so that we have a continuation of that sidewalk that's just north of you along by the 77th and 41 intersection. Just in case people want to come down there to the Boss Man Tacos, they have the ability to walk there and do that. And any of these other tenants, they may be commercial tenants that get pedestrians or bicyclists, and they should have a way to get there. So that's condition number three. And condition number four, I would really like a turn lane or that entrance to be eliminated, because I'm worried about the amount of traffic coming northbound on 41, trying to turn in there and stopping up traffic. I don't know what these tenants are going to be, how high a traffic counts they're going to be, and I'm just worried about, without a turn lane, what kind of damage that's going to cause to our traffic flow there on US 41. So I'd really love to have a turn lane, if at all possible.
Okay, well, right now, that ingress egress is existing, so this is a matter of going to the state to get their permission to do that. This development's been approved by the Plan Commission, primary and secondary, with existing what we're doing. I don't think the drive-through is going to increase traffic in and out of the building that much, so.
The motion on the floor is with all the conditions.
With those conditions, correct.
So we have a motion with conditions. Do we have a second?
Madam President, before you solicit a second, Caleb, will you consider adding the findings of fact from the BZA?
Yes.
And any conditions imposed by the BZA?
Yes.
And final comment, reasonable conditions may be imposed, such as those proposed by Councilman on his motion.
Okay.
Madam President, I just want, sir, so are you saying that you're going to, the conditions that we have put here, you're going to abide by those conditions?
I can't abide to adding a turn lane on Route 41 into the building, or into the property.
That was my question too, because that's going to involve NDOT.
Right,
And I think NDOT approval, I don't know that he's got any control over that.
right. Mr. Austin, does he or does he not?
He does not. It would require a highway permit issued by the state.
Okay.
Is there a turn lane or a deceleration lane into Jenny Lane?
No.
So are you going to take item 4 off, Caleb?
Changes the motion. Item 4.
Because he has no control over it, I mean,
I'll withdraw item 4.
right. I will second it with the 3 additional conditions that were added on.
Do you accept those other 3 conditions?
If we could list those again?
One was just to make sure that it was only applying to 7707, the north building, which I think that's the case, because the south building has a separate address. Number 2 was the addition of the eastbound traffic to be eliminated just north of the driveway there and make it all westbound.
Okay.
And then number 3 was the addition of the sidewalk along US 41 all the way along the development,
Yes.
down to Jenny Lane.
Yes, I can do that.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
So we have a motion. We had a second?
Yes.
Is there any more discussion?
No?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Johnson.
you. Item E, consider acceptance of local roads and bridges matching grant between the Indiana Department of Transportation and the town of Schererville for the Community Crossing Match Grant Fund 2022-1.
Thank you, Madam President. Yeah, this is what Mr. Simstad reported on earlier. We got $1 million from NDOT for road work, curbs, sidewalks, and they usually call out twice in a year, but since we got the full amount, we will not be applying for a second grant this year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I just had a quick question. Did they say that we're not going to get any more money approved for this year? So
The limit's $1 million.
the limit's $1 million, they haven't raised it because they got $4 billion or $8 billion or whatever? Well, that's what I'm wondering is should we prepare a application just in case they decide last minute, hey, we're going to do a second round?
We'd probably know in advance if they did that.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Madam President.
The second round is already out, and their current policy is $1 million
1 million still.
based on the
limit.
application that Mr. Hanson submitted with us.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
With that motion and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Item F, consider release of maintenance bond in the amount of $3,659.46 and authorize issuance of certificate of release for Deer Crossing, Unit 1, 5101 West 73rd Avenue.
Thank you, Madam President. Yeah, this is a couple who built a new home right on 73rd on the east end of town. And they did run a sewer to the existing subdivision just to the west in Foxwood. And this is just their surety bond that we're releasing back. It's
Thank you.
typical after 2 years.
Move to approve, Madam President.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Item G, consider release of cash maintenance surety in the amount of $644.25 and authorize issuance of certificate of release for AP Second Edition, Medical Building, Carolina Avenue.
Thank you, Madam President. Yeah, this is the same type of thing. It's the medical building that went on at Eagle Ridge Drive and Caroline Avenue. And they've met all the standards and we're returning their surety.
Thank you.
Move to approve, Madam President.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Item H, acceptance of deeds for properties listed below, the Pensie Trail, Kimberly Riss, 8795 Calhoun Place, Mark Montoro, 8787 Calhoun Place, Brian and Rachel Fields, 8781 Calhoun Place, William and Deborah Larson, 8779 Calhoun Place, Travis and Roberta Harwood, 8771 Calhoun Place, Jeffrey Rains, 8763 Calhoun Place, and Don and Kin Cheney, 8755 Calhoun Place.
Thank you, Madam President. Yeah, these are the properties that there were survey busts on them in Spring Rose Heath, Unit 3. This will allow us, now that we took care of all the paperwork, this will allow us to continue the Pensie Trail south to Clark Street.
Move to approve, Madam President.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Item H is to proclaim July 22nd, 2022 as AHEPA Centennial Indiana Day in the town of Schererville. Do we have a representative here? No? Then yes? Would you like to stand or come forward? I'll read the proclamation. Proclamation, AHEPA Centennial Indiana Local Proclamation, the Town of Schererville. Whereas the American Hellenic Educational Progressive Association, the Order of the AHEPA, was founded July 26, 1922 in Atlanta, Georgia, to help unify, organize, and protect against bigotry, discrimination, and defamation faced by people of all ethnic, race, and religious backgrounds, perpetrated predominantly by the Ku Klux Klan. Whereas the Calumet Chapter number 157 was chartered in the city of East Chicago, Indiana, on December 8, 1926, and since that time has promoted the ideals of ancient Greece, which include philanthropy, education, civil responsibility, and family and individual excellence through community service and volunteerism. Whereas, since its inception, the AHEPA has instilled in its members an understanding of their Hellenic heritage and an awareness of the contributions made to the government of the democratic principles and the governance in the United States and throughout the world, and has done much throughout its history to foster American patriotism. Whereas, the AHEPA National Housing Program has sponsored safe and dignified affordable housing to vulnerable senior citizens, administered by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, Section 202, Supportive Housing for the Elderly Program, that has yielded 4,467 units at 87 communities in 19 states, including 13 communities in Indiana, and whose headquarters is located in Fishers, Indiana. Whereas President George H.W. Bush cited the AHEPA as one of America's 1,000 points of light. Whereas the AHEPA Chapter number 157 has made a positive impact in Schererville community by offering educational scholarships to the local community, a major supporter of the vibrant parish of the St. George Greek Orthodox Church located in Schererville, the Schererville Civic Funds, the Tri-Town Safety Village, and has donated over $100,000 for local, regional, state, and national charities, including supporting local businesses during the COVID-19 lockdown over the last 25 years, and much more. Now, therefore, I, Robin Arvanitis, President of the Town Council of Schererville, Indiana, do hereby attest my full support proclaiming July 22nd, 2022 as AHEPA Centennial Day in the town of Schererville, and I invite all citizens to duly note this occasion on July 13th, 2022. Thank you.
Motion
Madam
to
President,
approve.
I move to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
And there should be no discussions. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Item J, consider acceptance of donations in the amount of $12,591.92.
Madam President, yes. As you stated, we received in the month of June $12,591.92. Of that, in-kind donations equaled $5,416.92. Monetarily, receipts were $7,175. I will detail those right now. Into the Park Fund, we received $200 from the Driftwood Collective Company for a donation to the 2021 event. The Fire Department received an in-kind donation totaling $4,000. It's a McQueen, and it says August 2022 Annual Hearst PM Service and March 2023 Annual MSA Flow Testing in exchange for obsolete equipment. In the Police Department, we received in-kind donations from Dick's Sporting Goods, a ball plum, mesh ball bag, volleyball, football, basketball, and soccer ball. To the Police and Public Works Department, an in-kind donation totaling $1,300.35 was Lowe's miscellaneous tools and equipment. Going back to the Police Department, the Dick's Sporting Goods in-kind donation was worth $116.57. The National Night Out, we received quite a bit of donations. That was $6,975. And starting off, we have Macaulay Real Estate, $100. Caleb Johnson Law, $100. Jeffrey Sarbuski, DDS, $50. Reichert Plumbing, $100. Modern Heating, $100. Midwest Pipe Coating, $100. Triple Crown All-Stars, $100. Cliffs Heating and Air, $100. My Box, Northwest Indiana, $100. Need a Helping Hand, $100. Matrix Construction, $50. Ortega Inc., Peppies of Schererville, $100. Cedar Point Condos, $50. CSK Architects, $500. Cocapelli Motors, $100. Sophia's Pancake House, $100. K&C Property Holdings, $100. Harbor Industrials, $100. Michael Trumalaris, $50. KD Energy, $100. Midwest Insurance Center, $100. Kelly Law Office, $500. Marushak Compliance, $50. Jillian Gonzala, $25. Southland Excavating, $100. Absolute Construction, $100. Region Ale, $50. Osterly Properties, $50. J. Marie Salon and Spa, $50. Enterprise Network, $50. Thomas Daniels Seat and Company, PC, $50. Napleton Auto Works, $100. Saxon Hess, $100. Shiv Inc., in care of Dunkin' Donuts, $100. Cenefax Inc., $200. Scott's U-Save Tires, $200. List Body Paint, CarStar, $250. Second Street Dance Studio, $50. Sherwood Golf Concessions, $100. The Progress Group, $1,000. Hale Yard Corp., $1,000. Chetnik Memorial Hall, $100. B&D Sewer, $250. Eckhart American Corp., $200, which that cash total from the National Night Out was $6,975. Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to approve?
We have a motion. And a
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. I'd like to open up for business from the floor. If you have business, you can come forward, state your name in the microphone, and your address, please.
I only get 3 minutes, but I gotta take 2 of them right now to say, your
Sir,
attack
can you
on
speak into the
Robin-
mic, please?
Your attack on Robin was inexcusable. Those words could never apply to this woman, ever. And in 37 years of residency in this town, the things I've seen here, the appointment of the committeeman to the county tourist division, you gotta be kidding me for that reaction. And secondly, all of you as a group, is this what we want our public to see? Couldn't have that been handled somewhere else instead of in this forum? 2 adults, like 10-year-olds? No wonder America's the way it is. What's wrong with you people? All right, on to fireworks. Chief, Saturday night, I'm gonna make this real quick. Saturday night, July 2nd, 9:30. The neighbor is east of me.
Madam President, name and address, I didn't get that.
Oh,
Sorry.
my name is William Peranto. I live at 1750 St. George Drive in Schererville. It's Novosello. He knows. He knows. Anyway, 9:30 comes fireworks, right? The neighbor across the street. It's an east wind, 7 miles an hour. Puts a box this big out in the street, lights it. I stand out on my stoop and watch explosives detonate 60 feet above my house and then rain down on top of my house. And I begged the man to quit, begged the man to quit. He continued. I called the police. The dispatcher tried to talk me out of bringing an officer over because she knows the law says you can fire fireworks. A poignant statement she made when I said, yeah, but he's out in the street doing it and it's coming. He can't, her comment to me was, he can't control the fireworks once he lights them up. Really? Absolutely, and that's the problem. This is a public safety issue. I don't want to impugn this man's rights. He has every right to celebrate the 4th of July. But he has a great big backyard that he could have been in the backyard blowing off his fireworks, and the east wind would have dropped it all over his pool, all over his house. But that's not where he wanted it. He wanted it on my house so that he didn't have to clean it up. Now, the officer that showed up was very good. Russo? I think he said his name was Tom Russo. He's an elderly officer that just joined the force not too long ago.
Ruzga.
Okay, great man. I mean, he was very, you know me, I'm excitable when I'm getting shit on, excuse me. And I have the right to protect my property. I mean, what you got in your hand was found on my back deck, partially burned, sulfur all over my house, paper and cardboard. Now, here's what I say to you, Chief. Now, the officer's problem was his hands are tied. He said, I'm on very limited ground here. I'll try to get them to stop. And he did, but I think they were already done. But here's what I want. And the police officer told me, he said, you need to go to the council and have them look at the ordinance. The police don't have any tools. This guy had his hands were tied. He couldn't do anything. She talked the guy out of it, but there wasn't much she could really do. Now, here's my suggestion is this. Every time you guys came to my house, no matter how vague the issues were, you always used that all-encompassing, catch-all public nuisance. We can charge you with that. Or, how about littering? Let me ask you something, Chief. If I take a box of that crap, which I had, by the way, unburned sulfur, cardboard, ash, chunks, and throw it on my neighbor's property, and they call you, are you going to tell me if I stand there and do that again that your officer ain't going to take me away? Of course he is. And that's all they were doing to my house, only they were using a fuse to do it. They weren't on private property, they were on public property out in the middle of the street. What I'm asking you, and only asking, that's all I can do is request, is if you believe this is a public safety issue, because it is. I don't care if he fires fireworks, people love the entertainment. And there's people that in neighborhoods, do it as a group, because the entertainment value is worth the hazard, but not on my property. You don't have the right to endanger. I'm 70 years old, I'm not building a new one. So all I'm asking is for you and these people to get together and review that, and maybe add a word or two, Maybe they shouldn't leave their property. You want fireworks? Keep them on your property. Then if you burn your house down, it's your problem. You don't destroy someone else's 35 years of memories and photographs. I could build a new house. I got money. Not your money, but I got money. So all I'm saying is you guys need to look at this as a group and protect this town. How many calls did you have on the fire, Chief? Hammond had 12 or 15 calls over 3 days. 2 people died right here in Indiana, not too far away. A young boy, 11-year-old boy, as a firework exploded in his face. These guys drink all day long, these people. They start drinking at noon and blow fireworks at midnight. Come on, you guys. This is public safety. And if he can do that to my house, and Tom's answer was, right now the way they look at it is it's a civil, if he burns your house down, you have to go to civil court. So I got to wait till he burns my house to resolve this issue. And I guarantee you there's more than me, at least in my neighborhood, that this is not acceptable. This is not acceptable. I pay taxes in this town for 37 years. I expect the police not to just protect me personally and my family, but to protect my rights. That's what protect means, my rights. And I have a right to keep my property from being burned down with, I stood out on my stoop and he kept lighting them. I could feel him hitting me on the freaking head. And nobody could do anything. The police could not do a damn thing about it. That's ridiculous.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, come forward. Your name and address.
Nick Cavadas, 237 Turin Drive, Sherville, Indiana. I think it's Ward 4. I don't know the wards really well, behind Grimmer. First of all, I want to thank you for the proclamation that you passed for the Order of AHEPA. We were founded 100 years ago for different reasons to combat the harassment and the discrimination and bigotry from the Ku Klux Klan. We have since evolved over 100 years to be more of philanthropy and giving back to the community. So we've been supported over the last 100 years as a Hellenic community, so we're giving back to the community. And if Schererville town ever needs help from the Order of AHEPA, please let us know. Our chapter meets here in Schererville, and we're associated with the Church of St. George, which has their festival this coming weekend, by the way. Other than that, not just because you passed a proclamation, but I've been a resident for Schererville for 35 years, and I think it's a very well-run town. I think the town council does a good job. I think the administrative and all the department heads do a great job. So keep it up. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other business from the floor? Any business from the floor? Seeing and hearing none, this meeting is adjourned.
Very good work, Mike.